What more do you want from me?
I'm saying I don't wanna come down from your love. We'll get lost together like we fly. Don't ever let me come down from your love. From your love. From your love.
Hey everyone, it's Bree Seasony and welcome back to another Boys Planet video. A lot of drama unfolded in episode 3 and I have a lot to say, so let's get into it. But first, I want to thank my channel members for supporting the channel, so thanks so much to Kaylin Caster, BB Fawn, Vermilion, Night Skinny Honjin, Silent Night, Sarah, Kia, Alice Loves Cherry, and Misa. Thanks again so much and I hope you all enjoy this video. So this video will be a bit different than my episode 1 and 2 videos, since we only saw some of the performances for the first elimination round and we'll see the rest in the next episode. I won't rank the performances until episode 4 comes out and I release that video, but I will briefly discuss which performances I really enjoyed. I'll discuss the highlights of Boys Planet episode 3 as well as the partial live voting results we saw at the end of the episode, and of course I'll discuss the scene between Kamden, Krystian, and the other trainees in the G group backdoor team, plus some of the rhetoric that's circulating on Twitter and online in general about Park Gunwook. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. The episode starts where we left off last week. If you remember, in last week's episode, we ended on a cliffhanger with Yujin about to complete his signal song test and seemingly on the brink of having a breakdown. First, Sowon enters the evaluation room and wows the judges with his charm. He ended up improving and moving from a 3-star to an all-star. Sowon isn't currently in my top 9, but I just want to quickly say I think he's adorable and I love his personality too. I think he has a lot of potential, and although he isn't in my top 9, I am rooting for him and he's definitely one of those trainees that I like a lot. As far as the rest of the signal song test, Junhyun improved his singing since his check-in with the vocal judges and remained an all-star. Park Hanbin and Lee Jonghyun both upgraded from 3-star to all-star. Lee Ye-dam kept his all-star rating, Keta nailed his test and kept his all-star ranking as well, but sadly Kim Kyubin, Yoonso, and Sunggun that performed Kick It during the star level test were all demoted. This left us with Yujin, the K-group Kick It Mnet. We learned last episode that Yujin was very sick and he was struggling with learning the choreo and song. The judges were really hard on him, but Yujin explained that his hyungs, the more senior trainees from his company, encouraged him throughout the ordeal, which enabled him to keep going. When it was time for his signal song test, Yujin showed great effort, although he missed some of the lyrics and at times stopped singing. As a result, he ended up being demoted from an all-star trainee to a 3-star trainee. To be honest, especially despite his circumstance of being sick, Yujin really didn't do that badly. I was kind of annoyed that in the previous episode, Mnet left us with this really dramatic cliffhanger with Yujin, implying that he did so horribly that he broke down, when we see that's really not what happened here. But again, this is typical Mnet behavior, so I guess I really shouldn't be surprised. Mnet threw another curveball at us when at the end of all of the star signal tests, the judges announced that some trainees would be re-evaluated, meaning their evaluation or rating would be changed. As a result, K-groups Park Min-seok, Jeon Ho-young, Im Jun-so, and Yoon Jong-woo were all demoted to 1-star. On the other hand, Park Gunwook, my main Slayer top pick, who was told that his rating was put on hold during last week's episode, was upgraded from 3 to all-stars, as well as Sok Matthew. The trainees evaluated all of the all-stars, and Song Han-bin and Zhang Hao got the most votes out of K group and G group respectively. Since K group had the most stars, Song Han-bin won the killing part for the performance of Here I Am. So next it was finally time for the first official mission, a battle between K group and G group. There would be 7 teams for each group and they would face off by performing the same song. Each song selected was a million-seller song by big names like EXO, 17, BTS, Blackpink, etc. After this first mission, there will be an elimination round. I've seen people on Discord and Twitter saying that the top 52 trainees will make it, and the rest will be eliminated. Although I didn't catch that in the actual episode, that seems to be the consensus online among Boys Planet viewers. The winning team for each match will get 100,000 points, and an additional 10k points will be given to every trainee in the winning group. The translation here wasn't too clear, but I believe this means that in each of the 7 song matches, the winning team will get 100k points divided between the members, and the winning group, meaning K group or G group, will get 10k points for each of their trainees. I think I've got that right, but as I said, the subtitles were a bit confusing, so if you interpreted this differently, definitely sound off in the comments. In order to determine the teams, the top 9 trainees with the most views on their Signal song fan cams got first dibs. And I'll display the top 9 for G group and K group here. Regarding these results, I wasn't too surprised, except that Zhang Hao only came in 7th place for G group. I expected him to rank a lot higher because I thought that he was more popular and would get more views on his fan cam video, especially seeing a lot of Boys Planet viewers talking about him on Twitter, Discord, etc. But maybe it's just that he's become more popular now that the show has aired. At this point, the top 9 trainees from each group were ready to select their teams, and I'll display all of the teams and the songs that they chose here in case you guys haven't seen the episode or just need a reminder. Now, I'm going to segue into some of the highlights of the episode and lastly go over some of the performances. So, I don't know about you guys, but I was really surprised when I realized that Gunwook was one of the last trainees to be selected when the K-group team leaders were picking their teams, especially since he was rated an all-star by the judges, and he's definitely a great contender in the competition. But despite being one of the last people picked, he actually started to strategize with Hwanhee to convince him that he should form a team with himself and the other Jellyfish Entertainment trainees to perform Blackpink's Kill This Love. I think Gunwook was really trying to be strategic and put himself and his fellow Jellyfish trainees in the best position, and I'm sure he knows their strengths and weaknesses very well and was advocating for them, which I really respect. There was actually a really funny part here where Hwanhee exasperatedly said, "I can't dance." But Gunwook reassured him by saying, "You can hide behind me." I also want to take this time to address some rhetoric I've seen from netizens about Gunwook, which really surprised me, to be honest. Apparently, there's this common narrative that Gunwook is annoying, arrogant, and pushy. I even searched Gunwook on Twitter, and these are the suggested searches that came up, which really shocked me. I think that some people fail to realize there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Gunwook seems to be the type of person who advocates for himself and knows his talent and worth. That doesn't mean he's arrogant, that means he simply trusts himself, believes in himself, and knows what he can do. I personally think him taking charge and suggesting things to Hwanhee shows that he has great leadership skills, and we can see that he definitely really led his team. Hwanhee even said something like, "I'm Gunwook's puppet." Some people are really running with the "he's big and scary" narrative, which is pretty annoying in my opinion, but if you're watching, let me know what you think in the comments. There was also a moment of the episode between the members of G Group Kill This Love that I want to point out. One of the team members, Min, became upset when he didn't get the killing part. It looked like he started to cry and his team members comforted him. Then, outside of the practice room, Min expressed that he wanted to try for the killing part one more time. But Kuanjui and Zhang Hao both comforted him, with Zhang Hao explaining that it couldn't be done and they needed to move forward as a team. I really admired how patient and understanding the two of them were with Min. They both comforted him, but at the same time they understood that wasting time and allowing him to try for the killing part again when things had already been settled and even suggested by the judges wouldn't be a good move for the team. This could have turned into friction or possibly an argument, but I think the boys handled this very well and demonstrated great teamwork. And of course, I have to discuss the situation that occurred between G Group Backdoor because I've seen so many people talking about this situation online, and it seems that people are pretty divided on exactly what happened here and who's at fault. Kamden was the leader of G Group Backdoor and was the only non-Mandarin speaker in the group. Brian, who is Canadian, and Krystian both speak English. In this scene, we see Kamden trying to lead the group and decide on parts such as main rapper and sub-rapper 1, but it seems like he's being ignored by the rest of the trainees and even talked over by Krystian, who is speaking Mandarin to the other trainees, which Kamden can't understand since he speaks English and Korean. Many netizens, both international netizens and K-netizens, have condemned the Chinese-speaking trainees in the group, more specifically Krystian, for the way that he treated Kamden, especially since we have a clip towards the end of this scene with Kamden crying over the situation, and he seems visibly frustrated during the interactions. I'm not gonna lie, when I first watched this scene, I thought it looked pretty bad, but I rewatched it, and the more I thought about it, the more it just didn't add up. First, this scene seems very out of order and edited by Mnet. For example, at the beginning of this scene, the boys are discussing who should be the leader, but Kamden already has the leader sticker on his shirt, so why are they still discussing that when it's already been decided? But then later, we jump to the next part of this scene, and miraculously, the sticker isn't on his shirt, and one of the trainees puts it on his shirt. So this shows that the sequence here is definitely out of order and edited. There also seems to be various cuts in the scene, and zooming in on the trainees' faces to dramatize the situation, of course, when Kamden is trying to communicate with the rest of the team. I also want to point out that it seems to me that at times, Krystian is translating what Kamden is saying to the other trainees in Mandarin. While the editing makes it seem like he's just randomly cutting him off, seems like he's trying to deliver Kamden's message to the trainees. On top of that, the scene where Kamden is initially explaining his frustrations with the group and then crying are at two different points of time, which you can observe by looking at in the first clip he doesn't have an earring on, and in the second clip he does. I think it's clear that Kamden is visibly upset and that should not be invalidated in any way, but I also think that a lot was cut out of the scene, and I just can't bring myself to believe that all of the trainees straight up ignored him during their discussions. Although Krystian seemed to be doing most of the translating in this scene, I also want to remind you guys that, like I said, Brian is Canadian and speaks English fluently. So I asked myself, is it really believable that neither Brian nor Krystian explained the situation to Kamden at any point of time here? Did that not happen at all, or did Mnet just choose to leave that part of the conversation out? That's something that we should all think about, especially knowing that their interactions will be recorded and broadcast. Logically, all of the trainees straight up ignoring Kamden just doesn't make sense to me. I also, of course, want to point out that Mnet does have a history of evil editing, and more specifically, vilifying Chinese trainees. We saw in Girls Planet 999 with Fu Yaning's diss towards CLC's Yujin with her statement, quote, "We go up, but you don't," which we later learned was completely scripted by Mnet, in the way Chai Bing was portrayed as rude while leading her team who performed Salute, only to find out later in the next episode that the girls ironed out their misunderstandings during a stressful situation they were in. So to summarize the situation, do I think Kamden was truly upset? Absolutely. I think he was stressed out and frustrated having to communicate with and lead a team in which he could only fully understand two of the members when they were speaking in English. I think what most likely happened was Krystian and maybe even Brian tried their best to translate and communicate what was going on between Kamden, Junlan, Jian Yu, Ricky, and Shuaibo, but there was a lot lost in translation. But no matter what side you lean toward, I think we can all sympathize with Kamden, and I think we should ultimately wait until next episode to see how things were resolved before jumping to conclusions and dragging the group members when we know Mnet's usual behavior of dramatizing situations and even being misleading for views, especially at the expense of foreign trainees. I'll leave you with this clip of Hyunjae of The Boys explaining fellow group member Hak Yeon's experience on PD 101 because I think it really speaks to the situation, and it's something we should all keep in mind while watching survival shows like these.
악마의 편집 그것만 보고 판단을 하면 안 돼요. 직접 그 사람을 겪어보고 그 사람을 알지 않는 이상 흉을 보거나 욕을 하면 안 된다 생각합니다. 아시겠나요?
맞는 말.
Now that we've covered some of the drama that occurred in episode 3, let's talk about the performances. To decide the order of performances, the boys arm wrestled. Was anyone else surprised at Yujin stepping up before Jimung and arm wrestling for his team instead and winning? Because I thought that was a really cute moment and it definitely surprised me. First, I want to talk about my favorite performance of the episode, which was G Group Kill This Love. Their performance was immaculate and I have nothing bad to say about it. Some highlights for me were the way Wang Zihao and Sok Matthew harmonized during the first pre-chorus, Zhang Hao being a main slayer at all times, and Keita's rapping. At this rate, I don't think Zhang Hao, Keita, or Zihao are leaving my top 9 anytime soon. I also love how the members of the group smudged the red lipstick on their faces towards the end. I thought that was super creative and added a dramatic flair to the performance. K-Group Kill This Love was great too. You guys already know Park Gunwook must debut. He's one of my top picks, and he absolutely nailed his killing parts. We must debut him, guys. Like, please vote for him. I've said this before too, Hwan Hee is one of the best vocalists. I think he's up there with Jae, Hui, Kim Tae-rae, Sunggun, etc. And I think he did very well despite the fact that he was sick and strained his voice a bit while practicing. I've heard that some people were kind of dragging him for his voice cracking during his high note, but let's be real, yes, his voice cracked, but he can still out-sing most of the trainees in this competition on his worst day. I also really liked Konhee's rapping, but ultimately, while K-Group had a lot of standout moments from some of their group members, I ultimately thought that Kill This Love G-Group did better as a team, and I definitely think that their win was well deserved. I have to admit, it was so heartbreaking seeing Gunwook cry at the end. He obviously felt like he let his team down in some way, but he did really well. He ended up winning his part of the score for K-Group, so I hope he didn't beat himself up too much about that. Now, let's briefly get into the Aju Nice battle. Sunggun was hands down one of the best things about the K-Group performance if you ask me. His voice is out of this world. On top of that, Woongi and Solan are just way too adorable whole. Although I definitely thought that K-Group Ajunai's performance was stronger and deserved their win, I adore Kong and I wanted to take a moment to appreciate his vocals as well because he did amazing, and I hope a lot of you will keep him in mind while voting because he's super talented. Lastly, I want to talk about G-Group Love Me Right since we haven't seen K-Group yet and we'll have to wait until next week. First of all, I was blown away by the vocal practice that we saw with the trainees and judges before the performance. I know a lot of people are divided about Jay from G-Group because of some of the accusations online concerning him, some mutual friends, and Discord. I'm not going to get into that because it's really confusing, and to be honest, I'm not sure what to make of it myself. But controversy aside, there is a handful of really good vocalists in Boys Planet, some of which I've mentioned earlier in the video, but in my opinion, out of everyone, Jay is the best vocalist in the competition. That might be a hot take, I'm not really sure, but it's what I think. When he was asked to sing his parts in Love Me Right for the judges during practice, it was like he just opened his mouth and the notes just came out effortlessly. Hui even made a comment saying something like, Jay sings pop, not K-pop, which I guess was a compliment in saying that Jay is kind of in a league of his own with his own flair. Jay is a natural born singer, he just makes it look easy, and his vocal tone and vibrato are especially really pretty. The judges actually had him do a face-off with Hui, and I think Hui kind of tried to outdo him with some of his vocal runs, but ultimately, it seemed like the judges preferred Jay's delivery over Hui's. When it came to the performance, G-Group Love Me Right absolutely delivered. Wumuudi nailed his killing parts and sounded great paired with Jay's flawless main vocals and ad-libs. I also thought the hearts on their palms was an adorable addition to the performance. They had great energy, and I also liked Zhang Hau's expressions and charisma on stage. He's really fun to watch perform. I'm gonna be real and say I'll be pleasantly surprised if K-Group manages to top them next week, especially since during their vocal practice the judges commented that they performed more as individuals than as a team, but it's very possible they've improved, so we'll have to wait and see. Here are the live voting results shown at the end of episode 3. Mnet only showed us the top 3, not the entirety of the top 9, but I'm happy to see Kim Ji-woong there since he's one of my top picks you guys already know, and I hope he debuts. I'm also rooting for Sung Han-bin, who's also in my top picks. If I had to guess, I'd say Hui and Gunwook are definitely there in the top 9, as well as Zhang Hao, but if you have any predictions, let me know in the comments. I was a bit disheartened to see Wumuudi at 50 because I think he deserves to be higher, so make sure to vote for him if you want him to stay. I also hope Hwan Hee is able to move up because he's a great vocalist, but leave your thoughts about the voting results in the comments. Remember, rumor has it that only the top 52 trainees will make it, and the first round of live voting closes on February 24th at 10 p.m. Korean Standard Time, so make sure to vote for your faves. So that's it for my thoughts on Boys Planet episode 3. I'm really enjoying the show so far and I can't wait to see the next episode. I also want to mention, I really love the diversity that we're getting in this show so far. In Girls Planet 999, we only had C Group, J Group, and K Group, Korean, Chinese, and Japanese trainees, but in this competition, the global group definitely encompasses a lot more Asian countries than we saw in Girls Planet. It's really nice to see Thai trainees, Vietnamese trainees, even Filipino trainees. It's just really nice to see this diversity, and I really like that Mnet is pushing this global thing a little more in Boys Planet. Anyways, stay tuned and make sure to subscribe for my review of episode 4 coming soon, as well as my performance rankings from both episodes 3 and 4. As always though, I want to know what you thought of episode 3. What were your favorite performances or your favorite moments? Has your top 9 changed? Who is in your top 9? Do you have any predictions about the rankings that we'll see next week and who will be eliminated? What did you think about the scene between Kamden, Krystian, and the rest of the G Group backdoor trainees? What performance are you most looking forward to next week? I'm a bit biased, of course, but I can't wait to see Ji-woong's group, K-Group Backdoor. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to join my Discord server if you haven't already. We host Boys Planet watch parties every week, and we have a thread dedicated just to talking about Boys Planet, so if you want to join the Discord server, I will leave a link in the pinned comment. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.